Risk versus reward.
I was not expecting this.
A local business owner questions whether to reopen downtown after nearly losing everything. Traffic shift. A trade landmark has fallen. After years on top, the Ambassador Bridge is no longer North America's busiest truck crossing. And airline travel costs soar.
When these fuel charges go up, the barrel goes up. We always feel it first at the pump and then at the airport.
Some airlines implementing a fuel surcharge.
CTV News with Stefanie Masotti.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on CTV Windsor and AM 800. Anonymous threat to Iran from U.S. President Donald Trump, saying a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. The clock is now counting down to an 8 p.m. deadline to open the Strait of Hormuz or else. Here's CTV's Joy Malbin on the looming showdown.
The U.S. and Israel launching new strikes hitting military targets on Karg Island, though no oil facilities were hit, hoping to pressure Tehran to open the Strait of Hormuz, that critical shipping route held hostage by Iran. President Donald Trump posting another ultimatum to make a deal or else. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. Ramping up his rhetoric, raising the stakes, and threatening to blow up everything.
After that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah.
Striking civilian targets considered a war crime under the Geneva Convention, putting the U.S. military in a moral dilemma.
It is vile on every level. It begins with a promise to use the U.S. military, our military. Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say, no, I'll resign. I'll do whatever I can do legally to stop this.
Iran is defiant, instructing civilians to become human shields surrounding power plants and bridges to deter Trump, while striking targets in Israel and hitting the Gulf states. Qatar now warning this war could spiral out of control.
There are no winners in the continuation of this war. There are only losers.
Iran rejected a temporary ceasefire, slamming the president's threats as rude and delusional, and won't open the door to dialogue. The U.S. vice president saying just the opposite.
There's going to be a lot of negotiation between now and then, and I'm hopeful that it gets to a good resolution.
Pakistan's prime minister tweeting that there has been progress in diplomatic talks, and he's urging President Trump to extend his deadline and asking Iran to open the strait for 2 weeks as a sign of goodwill. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
The Prime Minister went further today than he's gone before, suggesting at a media availability that Ottawa might help if gas prices don't go down. CTV's Travis Fortnum joining me with more on this tonight. Travis, is any relief coming?
Well, Stefanie, if it is coming to the pump, it's not coming tonight by the looks of it. Drivers here in Windsor are paying an average of $1.87.9 a litre for regular, and Gas Wizard forecasts that price could climb another 2 cents by tomorrow. The question posed to the Prime Minister today was what, if anything, can be done domestically.
This is an important question, a fundamental question, a question people ask themselves every day, or they deal with the consequences every day, every time they go to the pump.
Prime Minister Mark Carney saying he understands the frustration, but points to these global forces driving prices higher worldwide as oil prices surge. Carney says his government is looking at options to help offset these costs, opening the door to a possible tax break. This comes as political pressure builds. Other countries have already cut fuel taxes, and Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is calling for federal gas taxes here to be scrapped altogether for the rest of the year.
So the question becomes, and this is what the government's focused on, is how long is this going to persist? And what can we do to help cushion the blow for Canadians? And that's something we're looking at.
Carney didn't offer details on what the relief could look like or when it could come. But tonight, I guess we at least know it's on his radar. Stefanie?
Good to know. Okay, Travis Fortnum tonight. Thank you for this. Now, what was meant to be a fresh start for a Windsor businessman could be over before it even began. A fire and a break-in at his downtown business is now raising serious concerns about safety and the real risks of opening up shop in the area. CTV's Sanjay Maru.
Stefanie, it's been about 4.5 days since the back of this business on Wyandotte Street East went up in flames. And I can tell you, just standing near the fence where this happened, the smell of char and burning still lingers in the air. This business was in its infancy, not even a few months old, and now it has the owner reconsidering whether opening a business in this area was even worth it. Shadesh Kshatriya watched his financial future go up in flames in the early morning hours on Good Friday. An unknown individual appears to pour fuel from a jerry can behind Squad Pub and Grill on Wyandotte Street East before setting the back on fire. Then, in separate surveillance video provided to CTV, two people appear to enter the business the following morning who, according to the owner, stole at least $30,000 worth of items.
I just opened my business 2 months ago. I was already in the loss because I was trying to generate the business, I was trying to grow the business. I was not expecting this.
Kshatriya moved to Windsor 5 years ago, drawn by the message that this is a great place to start a business. But the 29-year-old says after this past weekend, he now feels the risks may outweigh the rewards of investing in this city.
It is demotivating us to do the business. We need more support, more protection. It's all about the safety. It's not just my business.
Ronaldo Agostino represents neighboring Ward 3, where business owners have expressed similar safety concerns.
I'm a former business owner myself, and I've been through the broken windows, I've been through the fires, and you got to be resilient, and these are the risks of owning a business.
Agostino says after an incident like this, the focus shifts to what went wrong and how to move forward. That includes connecting owners with their local BIA, working with insurance and security, and involving police to help prevent it from happening again.
Lighting is a big deal. Alarms are a big deal. It's got to be part of your business plan.
Kshatriya and his fiancée were resting at the top unit of the building when the fire broke out, and thanks to their surveillance system, were able to call 911 within seconds.
Do you think your business can survive this? I don't know, exactly. I don't have my future now.
Windsor police say their investigation into this weekend's events remains ongoing. Now, this entire story really underscores the need to have proper insurance. But as for the business owner here, he says while he's confident his insurance will cover damages to the building itself, he is unsure if his policy will cover the value of the tens of thousands of dollars in merchandise that was stolen from inside. Stefanie.
Clearly extremely frustrating. Thankfully, no one was injured in this case. Sanjay Maru tonight. So here is our question of the day. Do you go out of your way to support local businesses? Go to our website to cast your vote, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Yesterday, we asked if you are shifting your budget to pay for gas. Out of 600 responses, 53% say yes, they are. In other news, Windsor police have made another arrest in relation to a February homicide. A 22-year-old woman is charged as an accessory after the fact in the shooting death of 44-year-old Sydney Cox. Cox was found unresponsive in a hospital parking lot and later died. Police previously laid first-degree murder charges against a 25-year-old man. Police are also asking for the public's help identifying a man who brandished a knife inside a restaurant on Wyandotte Street East. The incident happened around noon on April 3rd when the suspect got into an argument with staff after being asked to leave. He pulled out a 6-inch black knife before fleeing on a silver and black bicycle. No one was hurt, but he is now wanted for assault with a weapon. Police are describing him as a white man, 50 to 60 years old, with long gray hair and a partial beard. Anyone with information is asked to contact Windsor Police. A 35-year-old Leamington man is facing multiple drug trafficking charges following a raid by the OPP Essex County Street Crimes Unit. On April 1st, officers with support from emergency response and canine units say they searched a Leamington residence seizing suspected cocaine, fentanyl, and methamphetamines. Jesse Lee Butt has been charged with possession of these substances for the purpose of trafficking, as well as possession of proceeds from crime under $5,000. In Chatham-Kent, the Integrity Commissioner has weighed in on that closed-door OHL expansion meeting. The finding, no rules were broken. The review says the virtual session with the league's commissioner didn't count as an official meeting, but it doesn't end there. The commissioner warns these types of discussions can still raise transparency concerns. Mayor Darren Caniff acknowledging not all councillors were invited and says there needs to be better inclusion moving forward. CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald joining me now for a first look at the weather from the top of the Bell building tonight. Gary, we are talking about cold temperatures.
Cold temperatures, clear though, but cold, chilly this morning. Wind chill values in the minus double digits, about minus 10 to minus 13 pre-dawn. Even at 8 a.m. it was quite chilly, but it's been mostly sunny, if not outright clear throughout the day. And this afternoon into now the early evening, it's a bit chilly, but the winds are light. And if you have a jacket, a hat, a coat on, it's actually quite pleasant. Will be chilly through the overnight. Tomorrow, though, temperatures rebound, and I think will be mostly sunny. And then things get wild in terms of temperatures. The fluctuations that are likely to ensue over the next few days. That story is coming up in just moments. For now, I'll send it back inside to you at the desk. Stefanie?
Well, you can thank Lake Erie for keeping tornadoes at bay in Windsor, Essex so far this spring. While just across the border, Michigan has already had 5 tornadoes this year, the most recent one on April 4th. But Dr. Dave Sills from Western University's Northern Tornadoes Project says the Lake Erie is acting like a shield. Its cold water disrupts the warm, unstable air needed for tornadoes to form. He says without it, we likely would have already seen tornadoes locally. Still, Sills warns tornado season can shift quickly, and it only takes one storm from the right direction to change everything. Voices from the community appear to have won. The Rotary Club of Windsor has dropped a controversial sponsor from this year's Art in the Park. The issue circulating on social media centers on Chick-fil-A as the major sponsor, a company long criticized for donations to organizations with anti-LGBTQ+ ties. Today, Art in the Park responding to the complaint, saying they've decided to move in a different direction for sponsorship. This local advocate believes the mission statement of the two companies do not align, and he credits the Rotary Club of Windsor for revoking the sponsorship.
I think it is commendable that the Rotary took the public's opinion and changed or recoursed themselves for this event. But I think maybe moving forward, these sorts of thoughts should be brought up at a committee level or at the procurement level of any sort of sponsor to vet them.
Funds raised through the event go directly back into the community and charitable efforts by the Rotary Club. Art in the Park, held annually at Willowstead Park, will celebrate its 47th year this June. Numerous phone calls and emails to both the Rotary Club of Windsor and the local Chick-fil-A restaurant have not been returned. After decades at the top, the Ambassador Bridge has been dethroned as North America's busiest truck crossing. The Blue Water Bridge has taken over the crown, signaling a major shift in cross-border trade. Fewer trucks are lumbering across the Ambassador Bridge, a route long known as a key trade lifeline. Many instead opting to cross at the Blue Water Bridge in Sarnia. According to new data from the Bridge and Tunnel Operators Association, the shift started in November of 2024. In 2025, the Blue Water Bridge in Sarnia saw the largest number of truck crossings, recording over 2.1 million crossings compared to the Ambassador Bridge with 1.9 million crossings. The trend remains the same so far in 2026, with 299,000 crossings at Blue Water Bridge compared to 286,000 crossings at the Ambassador Bridge. In a statement to CTV News, the Federal Bridge Corporation says the growth comes down to commercial carriers looking for faster, more efficient routes and a way to avoid heavier city traffic. Plus, the bridge's reliable infrastructure and competitive tolls make it an easy choice. Commercial trucks at the Ambassador Bridge have some of the highest tolls in the region, $27 per axle, almost 4 times the $7 per axle at the Blue Water Bridge. Once the Gordie Howe Bridge opens, tolls there are being set at $12 an axle. The opening date of the bridge has not been announced. As for passenger crossings, the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel holds the top spot with 3.7 million crossings in 2025, followed by the Ambassador Bridge at 3.5 million and the Blue Water Bridge at 1.6 million crossings. The Federal Bridge Corporation went on to state it welcomes the Gordie Howe Bridge as a vital addition to the regional infrastructure network. The town of Essex is looking to sign off tonight on the cost of a new fire hall in Harrow. Council is being asked to approve a tender for about $5 million to build a new Fire Station 3. Staff is recommending a bid by Maidstone-based contractor Gulf Developments. The new fire hall is planned for land on the Harrow Soccer Complex, but it's not expected to impact current fields. If approved, the town is hoping to have shovels in the ground this spring. Windsor is making a splash on the world stage. More than 90 athletes from 14 countries are in the city for the Canada Cup of Diving, which runs April 9th through the 12th at the Windsor International Aquatic and Training Center. The event features Olympic medalists and top competitors from around the world. Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkin says the competition could bring in about $1.5 million for the local economy. Tickets are free for the Thursday and Friday practicing and qualifying rounds. And it's a chance to look up and be inspired. The Royal Astronomical Society of Canada Windsor Centre is hosting a free public event tonight, giving residents a closer look at the historic Artemis II mission. Telescopes will be set up at the Fogelar Forlan Club, offering views of planets and distant celestial objects, while experts share insight into Canada's role in space exploration. The mission includes Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen and marks the first crewed trip around the moon in more than 50 years. It begins at 8 o'clock tonight and runs late into the evening. Now, we do want to hear from you. Do you have a comment or a question? Text us at 10400. We are just days away from a pivotal vote that could shift power in the federal government. That's still ahead on Windsor's News Leader. Outrage in Newfoundland sparked by a headline. Now locals are firing back. Why this story is getting global attention. That's when we return. And tomorrow, big promises. What does the mayor have to say about your taxes, your commute, and the city's future? We break down his State of the City address. That's tomorrow at 6 on CTV News. An Alberta First Nation was in court today trying to shut down a petition urging the province to quit Confederation. The Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation is in Edmonton asking a judge to suspend the petition campaign, arguing First Nations consent is required first. The First Nation alleges Alberta and the province's chief electoral officer are failing to uphold treaty rights. Stay Free Alberta is collecting signatures to qualify for a referendum on Alberta leaving Canada. Premier Danielle Smith's government has said if enough names are gathered, the question will be put to a vote. Stay Free Alberta has already collected more than 178,000 signatures. We are 6 days away until voters go to the polls in 3 federal by-elections. The results could give Mark Carney's government a majority. CTV's Abigail Beeman breaks down what's at stake and how the results could affect the running of government.
A closely watched race in Terrebonne, Quebec, previously won by just 1 vote. And 2 in Toronto expected to stay Liberal red. Right now in Parliament, the minority Liberals hold 170 seats, the Conservatives 141. With 343 seats total, 2 by-election wins would officially get the Liberals a majority at 172.
The reality is it's actually a lot more complicated than that.
Political science professor Alex Marlin points to a number of factors. The Speaker, currently a Liberal, doesn't vote except in a tie. And in a tight majority, you need to make sure no one misses a vote. while the makeup of parliamentary committees doesn't suddenly change, not currently controlled by Liberals, so government business won't suddenly speed up.
Just because you happen to have a razor-thin majority, slightly more than half of the seats in the legislature, doesn't magically change an awful lot, other than in the narrative. The narrative for Mark Carney would become very, very positive, and by extension, it would be negative for Pierre Poilievre.
It would mean higher food prices, higher taxes, a ballooning deficit, which Mr. Carney has already doubled. It would mean that he could continue to block resource projects and give us the only shrinking economy in the G7.
That's why the third by-election in Terrebonne could make a difference, a tight fight between the Liberals and the Bloc. Add 4 floor crossers this session and questions about the future of a Trudeau cabinet minister, and you see why each seat matters. While the Prime Minister was clear, even with a majority, he wouldn't prorogue Parliament, launching a reset.
Absolutely not. It has never even entered my thinking.
There are more questions still about what could change the course of Parliament and government business. How the Prime Minister plans to fill growing Senate vacancies is one of them. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
A U.S. federal judge has ordered that the contract for the new White House ballroom be made public. The ruling stems from a Freedom of Information request by an advocacy group in October. That same month, the East Wing was demolished to make room for Donald Trump's $400 million ballroom project. The administration has 2 weeks to hand over the contract. Now, ahead of the World Cup, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has provided some clarity on what role ICE agents play in Canada. An ICE spokesperson says its agents do not carry firearms and do not make arrests or execute search warrants in Canada. However, they can work with Canadian authorities on investigations. In Toronto, City Council passed a motion last month which opposes ICE agents at World Cup games, and Canada's public safety minister says the American agency has no authority or jurisdiction on Canadian soil. The economic effect of the Iran war is painful, with the biggest oil supply disruption on record. As mentioned earlier, we are seeing a spike in gasoline prices. Chip and fertilizer supplies are also threatened. Pharma shipments are stalled. CTV's Heather Wright with more on the cascading impact of the war.
English cheddars, French bries, provolone from Quebec. Good Cheese in downtown Toronto stocks products from around the world and is among the many grappling with the impacts of international events.
The first thing that you're going to notice is the price of shipping is going up. So that's definitely we're feeling the pinch on that.
Not only are shipping costs up, owner Luke Champion says so too are the prices of many cheeses he sells from both international and domestic suppliers. Champion is absorbing as much as he can, but worries about the unknown.
We're feeling it a little bit, but we're concerned about what's to come.
Businesses, households, grocers, and airlines are all feeling the impact of the war in Iran, now in its 6th week. The average price of regular gas in Canada is up 51 cents a litre since February 28th. Diesel has climbed an average of 74 cents a litre, while jet fuel has surged $1.05 a litre. And many companies have already begun passing these prices along to the consumer. Air Canada Vacations has started implementing a $50 per passenger fee on some destinations, while WestJet will add a $60 fuel surcharge to all bookings made using vouchers from its MasterCard loyalty program. While Amazon will charge sellers a 3.5% fuel surcharge on deliveries beginning April 17th.
Energy, oil is embedded in everything that we have in the modern economy.
Andre Sura is an operations management professor at the University of Toronto and predicts high prices will be here for many months, even if the war ends soon.
I would say that the only certainty that we have is that it's going to take a long time until the prices, they really stabilize.
While inflation eased in February, experts are expecting a significant increase to the March numbers and say the longer this war lasts, the harder it is going to be for consumers. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
A recent incident involving a plane load of people is leaving Newfoundlanders feeling a little unappreciated. CTV's Garrett Berry now with the international incident and the frosty feelings that followed.
A story of heroism the likes the world has never seen.
A headline so worthy of parody, Keith Muse says he just couldn't leave it alone.
That was stranded on a lifeless, frozen tundra island.
When the BBC and People magazine wrote of one flight's air travel nightmares, they called Newfoundland a freezing Canadian island.
In a city of mere hundreds of thousands, 200,000.
That description didn't quite sit just right with some people in this province who are kind of famous for bringing people in when flights are grounded. The musical Come From Away about the grounded flights after the 9/11 attacks helped catapult central Newfoundland to Broadway fame.
I just don't want to hear anybody badmouthing Newfoundland. You know, you don't get stranded here. You can't get stranded in the best province in the country, as far as I'm concerned.
The British Airways flight from London was grounded for 2 days in St. John's, first for a medical emergency and then for what staff called a temporary technical issue. All the while, they didn't have access to their bags.
We are used to this, and the staff are used to getting called in the middle of the night to come and help, and they're very dedicated.
Heather McKinnon and her team at the Delta Hotel took in most of those passengers during their delay. She says hotel staff made extra runs to Shoppers or Walmart to help passengers while their bags were stuck on board.
Some were traveling for funerals, some were traveling for weddings, so that was a little frustrating, but they kept in good humor.
But that headline, the freezing Canadian island, it caught the attention of this province's tourism minister, who wrote to People magazine today, complaining the headline diminished Newfoundland and Labrador. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
Canada's main stock index finished slightly higher after apparent losses from earlier in the day. In Toronto, the TSX gained 56 points. In New York, the Dow lost 85, the Nasdaq added 22. The Canadian dollar gained a modest 0.05 And on commodity markets, gold was unchanged today, and the oil added 54 cents a barrel.
Our $15,000 backyard refresh is back. Powered by Plantscape Windsor. Head to ctvwindsor.ca and upload a photo of your backyard. We will be choosing just one deserving viewer to win that big prize, $15,000, a custom landscaping or maintenance package from Plantscape Windsor.
Discussion here at Windsor City Hall.
Windsor's top stories.
A major project is about to get underway.
Breaking news alerts.
Severe weather is a possibility.
And watch live.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Download the CTV News app.
The sky there deceiving. Gary, extremely cold out there today.
Lots of sunshine, but the air mass is indeed chilly. You're correct about that. I think, Stefanie, tonight remains cold. Beautiful sunshine, beautiful blue sky. The air quality was good, but temperatures well below seasonal, reaching a high between 2 and 3 degrees Celsius. Our average high, call it 11 across extreme southwestern Ontario. We've already seen wind chill values in the minus double digits. By the way, the low so far has been -5, not minus 0.5, and that felt like about minus 13 this morning. Air quality between a 2 and a 3, the lower the number on a scale of 1 to 10, the better, so that's good. The winds have died down a bit. They will pick up for tomorrow morning with gusts in that 30 to 40 range. Although the temperatures do fall tonight, the winds are relatively light between now and midnight, so the wind chill won't be as much of a factor. Chatham-Kent right now, clear as a bell for the most part, 0 or 32. We're at 2 or 36 degrees Fahrenheit under mostly clear conditions. And it feels like -2 at the airport. It feels like about 0, -1 in Chatham-Kent. Feels like -10 in Goderich. Hey, for our friends in Moose Factory, just on the southern shores of James Bay, it was -15 at around 9 a.m., and it felt like -23. Even there, that's below seasonal. And they're seeing snow in the next 24 hours. We are clear for now, but there will be some snow to the north and east of us. A chance of trailing showers with this front and that's coming for Thursday. So Wednesday, for the most part, is mostly sunny and fair, and temperatures will rebound. For now, though, we are chilly. And the winds are relatively light, clear through 8 o'clock, 10, and midnight. At midnight, it will feel like about -7. The actual temperature is -3. The winds are holding out of the east at 10 kilometers per hour. Process that. Take a look at our 7-day forecast, courtesy of Enercare Sales, our friends there. Thank you very much. Windy tomorrow, but again, that's towards the afternoon. It will feel like -8 at around 4 a.m. We'll see a high of 11. Then 20 degrees and possible showers on Thursday. Where'd that come? A warm front brought it. And then cooler Friday, showers 10, 12, and some rain in the morning and sunny in the afternoon on Saturday. 19, 19, and 15. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, cloudy and wet. Let's look at your weather this hour.
This week marks the 8th anniversary of the tragic Humboldt Broncos crash that claimed the lives of 16 people, including 10 young hockey players. But as CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan reports, the legacy of player Logan Boulet lives on through Green Shirt Day, which is today.
They called it the Logan Boulet effect when the organs of the 21-year-old were donated the day after the crash, saving several lives and inspiring thousands to register as organ donors.
Literally 5 lives with solid organs and then corneas. And we had a lot of people tell us after that cornea transplant is saving someone's life because now they can see.
I was in Vancouver donating my kidney through the kidney paired exchange program, September 9th. I was in the waiting room and doing different things and sitting there going, wow, oh, there's this Green Shirt Day contest coming up.
Last year, Candace Cernowski's relative was in dire need of a kidney, but she wasn't a match for him. So she gave her left kidney as part of a chain of transplant donations, ensuring her cousin would get a kidney that did match.
They have a very poor quality of life. So it was really stuffed to see him as a young 30-year-old in his mid-30s man, not being able to work and function, take care of himself.
It took her several weeks to return to work, but she says the benefits for the recipient are immediate. And this year, her design was chosen as the logo for Green Shirt Day.
The big puck, and then the lines here are supposed to show it sort of flying the puck. The hockey sticks, the number 27 is Logan Boulet's number.
Logan's dad, Toby Boulet, says this year's theme is one decision can create a lasting ripple effect. And while he would love to see everyone wear a green shirt on April 7th, he says the most important thing is for families to talk about organ donation.
It's about the conversation. Without the conversation, a transplant doesn't occur in Canada. The family has to agree to it, even in the provinces of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, where there's presumed consent. If the family says no, it's a no. So you have to have the conversation.
Across Canada, more than 4,000 people are waiting for organ transplants, about 70% for kidneys. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
She's my pretty little poison.
From viral fame to sold-out shows, a rising country star is headed our way. Details still ahead. It's not just the family car that's costing more to fuel up. The cost to fill a plane is also sky high. As CTV's John Musselman explains, that has major airlines charging more.
Most passengers departing Pearson today booked flights weeks or even months in advance, so they avoided any new fuel surcharges imposed by the airlines. Still, there is growing concern that the war in the Middle East could impact future travel plans.
100%. I mean, how can not affect everything? But always when these fuel charges go up, the barrel goes up. We always feel it first at the pump and then at the airport.
Oh, I mean, if it's going up, there's going to be less people traveling. There's going to be less people going places. And I mean, I won't travel as much.
Now I have to fly to Manitoba and then I have to drive 3.5 hours.
Well, they haven't affected ours because we booked so long ago, but they may be affecting other people.
Canadian carriers are implementing temporary fuel surcharges between $40 and $60, depending on the airline. Air Canada says it has adjusted fares to account for higher fuel costs. Travel agents say now more than ever, passengers need to make sure their travel plans are covered by insurance.
The viewers should check with the insurance company, the broker, whoever. If I were to buy cancellation insurance and our flight is canceled, yes, I know the airline will reimburse the cost of the airfare. The question is, who's reimbursing the cost of a cruise that we were supposed to meet that next day? Who's going to cover the cost of the rental that we booked for 2 weeks? All these things come into play with cancellation and interruption insurance.
Aviation analysts say the increase in jet fuel is only the tip of the iceberg. John Graddick says we are only days away from jet fuel supplies running out.
Probably about 25 to 30% of the world's aviation fuel does originate in the Middle East. So it is a significant impact on the airlines. Prices, yes, are going up, but I think the big tsunami that we're going to hit is going to be supply. We're going to start running out of aviation fuel probably within the next week or so in various parts of the world.
Graddick says countries in Southeast Asia will feel it first. Flights or specific routes will be canceled to deal with the jet fuel shortage. Meanwhile, back at Pearson, travelers are worried about what lies ahead.
It's going to affect me when I have to fly back home from Ontario to British Columbia, and I'm afraid to even check out the prices. I won't even look. I'm scared.
John Musselman, CTV News.
Fans eager to see Canada's first ever WNBA team on the court can buy single game tickets starting this week. The Toronto Tempo revealed its inaugural roster this weekend, picking 11 players in this year's expansion draft. The team, co-owned by tennis legend Serena Williams, is set to host Washington for their season opener on May 8th in Toronto. A rising star in country music is headed to Windsor. Warren Ziders is set to perform at the Coliseum at Caesars Windsor on August 7th. The Pennsylvania native has quickly built a massive following with billions of global streams, a CMT award win, and his first #1 hit, Pretty Little Poison. He's also been gaining attention with his latest album, continuing a breakout run in the country music scene. Then for the rock fans, Twisted Sister is coming in October. The legendary heavy metal band featuring Sebastian Bach on lead vocals. They will take the Coliseum stage on October 10th. With over 12 million records sold and thousands of performances, Twisted Sister remains a defining force in rock and glam metal. Tickets for both shows go on sale this Friday. Kanye West has been banned from entering the UK, where he was scheduled to perform in July. The rapper had been set to headline London's Wireless Festival, but had his travel authorization blocked by the UK government due to his history of anti-Semitic remarks. Britain's Home Office says West's presence would not have been conducive to the public good. The festival's organizers have canceled the 3-day event.
This is your CTV Windsor Our Community Calendar. Brentwood Recovery Home transforms back into the glamorous Elmwood Casino for one unforgettable evening. Celebrate the past, support recovery. See you next time on Our Community.
It's time to check in on what's happening now with Michelle Molesky tonight. And Michelle, let's circle back to the border battle.
Yeah, absolutely. As you told us earlier in the show, the Blue Water Bridge has now surpassed the Ambassador Bridge for the busiest commercial border crossing. One reason cited was the toll price per axle, which is higher in Windsor. However, the mayor of Point Edward says some trucking companies got into the habit of going to Sarnia instead during the 2022 blockade of the bridge here in Windsor. And while the extra trucks is, of course, good news for that economy, it's not always a good thing for residents who, like those of us here in Windsor, sometimes have to contend with long backups of transport trucks.
There's a lack of respect by some truckers towards the people that live in this community and the others who are in passenger vehicles trying to get to the U.S. And that's been an ongoing issue.
If they're caught cutting the line or doing something improperly, when they get to the booth, they're turned back to the end of the line and given a ticket.
So toll is a big part of this. The price per axle is very different in Windsor, Sarnia, and of course the Gordie Howe Bridge whenever it eventually opens.
Okay, we have a lot of stories online on our website. One has to do with downtown lighting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. If you go downtown, you'll notice it's starting to look a little bit different these days. And that's because they're in the final stretch of putting up those decorative lights on Olette. Our online coverage of the story includes details about how expensive all of this is to increase lighting downtown. Don't forget, you can be part of our daily poll that's also online. Finally, in our social spotlight tonight, NASA released stunning new photos of the far side of the moon. Images captured after the 4 astronauts surpassed the furthest distance ever traveled by humans from Earth. The crew flew around the moon yesterday, snapping photos along the way. They include Earthset, captured as the Earth dipped below the lunar horizon. NASA also sharing a new photo of a solar eclipse, the astronauts becoming the first people to see the solar eclipse from the moon. Can't beat those photos.
No, I love the one that kind of looks like not really a selfie, but kind of
like a selfie.
Yeah, those are just incredible. And like we've been saying time and time again, a historic moment.
I'm wondering what they are thinking of. Like, are they writing down all these small little moments that are happening up there, and like the books that all 4 of them are going to be able to write?
Oh, yeah.
The books that the people who are at, mission control or whatever. I think there's so many more stories to come after.
Even, simply writing down the emotions that they're feeling.
Just what it was like to be a part of it, the things that don't make the daily news cycle. So, yeah, it's interesting.
And I'm sure those books are going to do well.
I would think so.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, and that's what's happening now. Students are fighting back against aggressive geese with tech. When we return, the tool helping one community to avoid the chaos. Gary, you were mentioning the wind is going to pick up.
Yeah, this kind of weather makes you want to quit your job, retire early, right? It's beautiful.
I think you think of that every day.
Well, I do like the sun. Boy, these temperatures are something else. Today was chilly to start, no doubt. Felt like about -13 this morning pre-dawn. Sunny tomorrow, up to 11. That would be seasonal. 20 degrees on a cloudy day with possible showers on Thursday. Then down to 10. Look at this up and down sine wave roller coaster ride that we continue. Then look at, 12 degrees on Saturday. I might be playing golf. Wish it was a little bit warmer, cloudy, maybe a slight chance of showers on Sunday, 19. Then 19 and rainy on Monday, 15 on Tuesday. Our average high is 12. So you get the idea. We are well above, then sort of down, then way up, and then down again. It continues.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Travis, the one hot topic continuously going around is the price of gas.
I mean, yeah, we're talking about gas prices again. We've got some stories tonight about it. I mean, gas prices are higher than the crew on Artemis 2 right now. So we're taking a look at what that means for EV sales, because there was a bit of a slump last year. Some experts in the field are taking a look at whether or not we might see a resurgence in sales now that gas is so expensive and people are looking for alternatives. All that and more tonight at 11.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you, Travis. Yesterday, we told you that the city of Windsor has plans to relocate geese out of city parks. Well, in Waterloo, they are doing something just a little different. They have an app to help pedestrians navigate nesting season for seemingly disgruntled geese. With more, here's Karis Map.
Warmer weather means nesting season for Canada geese, a time of year when they're known to be aggressive.
Honestly, I love the geese. I think they're a great part of the campus atmosphere. I think they're really cute. They're really goofy little guys.
While some don't mind, others have stories about the animals getting a little too close for comfort.
I was walking towards school, and a goose, I guess, was protecting its mates, and she was, I think, laying an egg or eating or something, and it proceeded to start wandering around it, started coming towards me and hissed at me, actually, and then started chasing after me.
Encounters like this aren't new. It was almost a year ago when aggressive geese had some students in Uptown Waterloo afraid to leave their homes. And just last week, this scene in a coffee shop on the Laurier campus. It's believed the goose had wandered in through a sliding door. A new interactive map is aiming to give the birds a little more space. It's called wattleloo.com. Launched last month, it uses AI technology to map out geese sightings and a color-coded advisory system based on their perceived aggression level. It'll even suggest the safest route to take to try to avoid them altogether.
I've lived in Winnipeg, I've lived in Richmond Hill, Newmarket, Toronto. I've never seen this many geese in one area.
The website's developer told CTV News he built the map because the goose problem is funny until you're the one getting chased, noting that nesting season genuinely changes how students on campus move around.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I would have loved that in the beginning of the year, so I knew where to avoid, where not to go. Yeah. Because I'm really scared.
If it's just so people know which nesting sites to avoid, that sounds like a good idea so that they can avoid disturbing the geese.
Hoping that a little technology can help keep the peace with the geese. Kara Smap, CTV News, Waterloo.
Some people are extremely scared of getting chased.
Leave them alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more concerned about the deposits, highly toxic, not good for your garden.
Which we've covered, yeah.
Geese, the goslings are cute, wonderful. Mom and dad stay together for life, right? We can learn a lot from that example.
Beautiful.
But geese, how about an eagle snatching a possum?
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the video. It was sent in. Prey, birds of prey attacking you, that's something.
That's something to be concerned about. But you know how they say there's always an app for something, so there's an app for that.
Yeah.
On behalf of our dedicated team here at CTV News, thank you for watching.
For updates throughout the evening, go to ctvnewswindsor.ca.
Gary and I will be back with your only late local newscast tonight at 11.
Good night.
Don't be afraid of geese.